Sup?
Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I'm Morrow with my friend Mary, and we're jumping into some RPG. Okay, let's try to do it for real though. The question was, what are your favorite kind of RPG horror stories?
Oh, the sexy kind.
The sexy kind. What do you mean by that?
Ones that include cheese.
Cheese?
Cheese.
Right, let's get some RPG horror stories for today before things get any more cheesy. DM demands to know a woman's body count in session 0. About 3 months ago, I decided to suck it up and drive down to the game shop after years of making excuses due to the distance and my hectic work schedule, which is thankfully now a lot more orderly. It didn't take long before I found someone who was willing to DM. He was a regular on Saturdays and was also desperate for some D&D, so we both agreed to get a game going. He got his game announcement on the game shop website, and in 2 weeks we had 8 players. 7 men, including myself, and 1 woman. She ended up playing the only female character in the campaign, a tiefling warlock. Woo! Nice. To which DM said, "Oh, the horny race." She gave him a cringe look and said, "I'm just here to kill Asimar, lol." DM then laughed really obnoxiously. Just because you play as somebody with horns doesn't mean you're always horny.
Speak for yourself.
What?
What?
Only Tuesdays and Sundays, and only between 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. Anyway, let's continue the story. And then there's me, a halfling wizard. Session 0 is basically an intro session for our characters, and the DM let us explore the sort of hub town of the campaign and talk to some extraplanar spirits, which were basically there to tell us some campaign rules in a unique way, i.e. no metagaming, funky dice, etc. As we begin talking to one of the extraplanar spirits that is going over our character sheets with us to iron out any potential mistakes and letting some of the really unfortunate players re-roll, but then the spirit asked the tiefling, "So, I am reading your backstory and I haven't seen anything about your body count. Mind clearing that up for me?" She then just said, "It's not important." He then said, "Oh, it's very much is," with a wicked smile. She awkwardly chuckles and said, "Ahaha, stop being weird. You're not getting my body count." DM said, "Oh, come on. It's relevant to the campaign. Your sexual market modifier will be influenced by it." I wish he was joking, but he actually showed us the modified character sheet with a sexual market score and modifier. What the hell is a sexual market score modifier? Is that like how valuable you are as sexually or whatever?
Or maybe it's just like to seduce people or something, probably.
Are they scoring how sexy you are, how bangable you are? Did the DM even say that was part of the thing in the first place when they set up the whole thing? You know what it sounds like? It sounds like a thinly veiled fetish sex game packaged under a regular D&D game. That's what it looks like. She stated, obviously getting pissed, and pointed out accurately that he didn't ask any of us, the guys and no male characters, or the genderless plasmoid sexual history, and he said, "A key that can open many doors is a master key, but a lock that can open for many keys is a crappy lock." He then joked about how Confucius and Aristotle both lived by this quote, and this jackass started laughing like he was being funny in an irrelevant humor kind of way. Nobody else was laughing. He then shook his head and just said, "Fine." He then looks directly at her with a crap-eating grin and says, "Let's see how ran through you really are." He looks down at his dice bag and grabs it. "And nat 20 means you're a virgin, and nat 1 means you're for the streets." And then keeps laughing at his own jokes as she just shook her head and left. And then me and a couple of guys followed shortly after while the DM rolled and then started trying to get us back by trying to pivot and claim it was a joke and that he just has a messed up sense of humor. He gave up after a while and just played with the remainders until he could find adequate replacements. We ended up doing another game a few weeks later with a better DM, and we ended up actually becoming friends. The scumbags bring players together, and now people are playing in a decent game with a decent DM and actually making friends. Who would have thunk it? It only took a real crap DM for them to make friends and to play stuff, which sounds so absurd. It's not something you need to be asking. This guy is clearly a stupid idiot. His game is just thinly veiled reason to just sexual harass the only girl in this session. Fucking cringe, dude. Fucking cringe. Some low level of cringe.
Oh my god, yeah, woman in my session. I gotta make sure I ask for her body count because it's so important. Is that a female D&D player? Oh my god.
Oh my god, are you a female?
Oh my god, you need to make like a female Morrow to see what. Oh my god, that'd be cute.
She'll probably look hella good, honestly. A gentleman Morrow would look hot as hell. No pun intended. Anyway, let's get to the next story for today. Player doesn't understand that spilling secrets means the party won't trust you. Advice needed. I need some advice because this has recently brought up some problems in my D&D game. I need to know if I'm in the wrong, slightly in the wrong, or justified for my actions. I'm playing a druid in D&D campaign that is a runaway princess of a very well-known kingdom in the land. Now I hate the lone wolf thing, so as soon as the party helped my druid out and she felt like she could trust them, she revealed the truth to them. Her goal for traveling was to become a better ruler for her kingdom. She felt as if she couldn't properly guide her kingdom if she constantly had a silver spoon stuck in her mouth. She wanted to explore the world, see where people needed aid, and when finally took the throne, she would have the knowledge of the world and a state to be able to better make long-lasting connections with other kingdoms and know who would be valuable allies and who were threats. When this information was revealed, my druid said it was important that the party continues to refer to her as the fake name she crafted and do not let anyone know she's a princess. One reason is she worried she will not be able to gather information properly if people already know her status because they'll put on face for her, and she fears her family will learn of her location and send the knights to bring her back home. Everyone seemed to understand this, except the sorcerer. He would constantly refer to her as princess or use her real name when in the presence of other people. At one point, Sorcerer and Paladin had ran into a knight from her hometown looking for her. He held up a flyer with her face and Paladin feigned ignorance. And Sorcerer said, "Oh, that looks like the druid." And she mentioned she was a princess before. What is this guy on about? If you were asked to not mention about your identity, why is he literally doing the polar opposite? Is he? I mean, unless he's like doing like a joke or a bit. That's the only time I can think.
Yeah, I was gonna say it might be
his
his character, and he's just trying to play it like that.
Luckily, Paladin managed a decent deception check to make it seem like Sorcerer was only after the reward, as Sorcerer kept insisting he could show the knight where I was. After this happened, I had my druid stay in a completely different tavern, and the only one who didn't know was the Sorcerer, who later found the knight and tried bringing him to my empty room. Making Paladin claims he was only after the reward for my capture seemed even more true. This continued for several sessions. Anytime the information on my character's role status could be used to screw her over, Sorcerer blurted it out, claiming it wasn't his problem and his character didn't understand why my character would hide such a secret. No matter how many times I explained it to him, or he would claim he forgot. It got to the point I didn't enjoy playing my character and I regret not playing the stereotypical lone wolf that wouldn't trust players with her secrets until she was forced or until session 1000. This is not a problem with you or you not playing a lone wolf character. This is a problem with a problem player that is completely continues to try to play fool or continues to try to play dumb with his character because haha funny or something or whatever other reasons. I'm not sure what the reason is so far, unless the sort of specifically states why they keep doing this sort of thing as like in character, then I don't know what's going on. But I feel like it might be a good sit down to talk to the player, maybe even the DM, and talk about the issues. Clearly there's some problem player behavior going on and you want to try to nip it in the bud. The best way to do that is communicate. We eventually visited a rival kingdom, and after having heard of our deeds, he invited us to dinner through an invitation. Now this king was meant to be a deadly threat. He was not only a rival to my kingdom, but was supposedly the same person who had attacked our rogue's hometown, separating him from his family and selling him as a slave. Rogue and my druid began making plans, intending on sharing our secret discoveries as the invitation with the group. But Rogue stopped her and told her he wanted to share this information with everyone except Sorcerer. Sorcerer's player seemed taken aback and he asked why he could keep that from him. Rogue and I explained his character was terrible about keeping secrets. He was constantly telling everyone who my character was, and there were several occasions this nearly screwed us over. We couldn't risk him attending the party and telling the king who she or Rogue was, because he would certainly kill them on sight. Rogue wanted revenge and my character wanted to get rid of a threat to her kingdom. This was especially important to Rogue's backstory since his character had stated multiple times how he craved revenge against the man that took everything from him. Sorcerer defending his character's actions with something that sounded very similar to, "It's what my character would do." Oh my god, I already hate the phrase. I need to stop it right there. If you want to have your character have a weird quirk, like be really bad at lying, that's one thing. Or you want to have a weird quirk where you gotta end every sentence with a nyan, because for whatever reason you're like playing a cat girl or whatever. That's fine. Those are all harmless characteristics. But at the end of the day, when you're making a character, the only criterion to fit it, no matter what kind of weird quirks or different difficulties you have, or different problematic behaviors your character will have, is as long as they work well with the party. Even if your character's a little bit dumb, or maybe doesn't realize this sort of things, or maybe is a little bit slow in the uptake when it comes to keeping lies and secrets and stuff, you could still make him be that without completely screwing over the entire plot point of what everybody else is working towards. Players are working towards A, but your character is constantly going towards B. You're going completely against the players and the other party members entirely without a rhyme or reason. That doesn't make your character quirky or interesting or haha low funny. It makes your character obnoxious, makes your character difficult to get along with, makes your character go completely against what the rest of the party wants to do. No wonder people don't want to include you on the whole plotting of this stuff, because your character can't be trusted.
It also would have been fine earlier on if you would have like mentioned like, by the way, my character has a little bit of like a nix that you have to get, you know, used to it. Like, he's really bad at keeping secrets, so I apologize if it goes too far, or I apologize if like it makes it trouble for you, but I'm just letting you know. You know, like, just give them a warning so at least they know what they're dealing with. Because she was stressing out about it the entire time instead of him like apologizing, you know.
Yeah. And this thing is important because like it's part of the character's like whole motivation. It's part of the character's lore, and it puts up stakes as well. The whole point is, if the character is revealed to the kingdom or to the knights that are hunting her down, that could screw over a lot of the plans. Or dealing with this baron knight guy or whatever they're dealing with, you know, they getting rid of a threat to the kingdom and everything. But if your sorcerer screws them over left, right, and center, it doesn't make it possible for them to do that sort of thing, and constantly goes to basically become a detriment to the party, why would the other players or characters want to have your character in there? And like Mary said, it would be a whole other thing if, let's say, for example, your character had a bit of a quirk and you made the other players aware of that sort of thing and let them know ahead of time that it's something your character has, but it's something you kind of hoping your character can grow from. But you're not working to play with other players. You're finding ways to basically say, it's what my character would do, just to kind of give yourself an excuse to screw other people's story arcs over and make it more difficult for them. Using it's what my character to do to try to conveniently explain a flaw in a character, but still not willing to change the flaw to work with the rest of the party, is a really crap thing to do. And Rogue told him this is how characters would react to his action, and there was consequence for being a blabbermouth. DM did warn Rogue and I that this would mean that next session, Sorcerer could have little to no playtime, since the dinner portion and our plan to sneak around his castle would take up majority of the session. The session ended with Rogue and I about to call a meeting with Paladin and our wizard. The next morning, Sorcerer had typed a long message in Discord chat about how he didn't feel like it was fair that he'd been excluded from a plotline that's important, wanted to be there to get XP like the rest of us. If you wanna be there, then don't be somebody that screws over everybody. Simple as that. If you make a character that doesn't want to screw other people over and not blabbermouth everywhere, then you can attend the session. But if you're gonna be blabbermouthing and becoming a detriment and being not a party member, but instead an hindrance and an obstacle, of course nobody's gonna want you at the table. Nobody wants to play with an obstacle. I want to play with players, not with the roadblocks. I don't want to have a player just be like an actual physical roadblock.
Instead of being an obstacle, just become a popsicle.
You need sleep. She needs sleep. I'm starting to feel bad. I don't want to excuse Sorcerer from the activities, but at the same time, it doesn't see any fault in him constantly announcing our character's secrets and putting them at disadvantage. And the worst part is, he never said he wouldn't do that if we took him to the king's dinner with us, which makes me even more hesitant to bring him. Rogue is adamant about not telling his character anything, but I don't want to make him sit out the entire session. What should I do? I have 2 weeks to make a choice on whether or not my character will tell Sorcerer about the invitation. I say you need to have an honest sit down with everybody involved, including the Sorcerer, and just straight up tell him, listen man, we'll want to do this cool plot point. It sounds really fun, but it doesn't seem like you want to do this plot point. Can we come to an agreement where your character just doesn't blabbermouth the whole way? And maybe include the DM for this sort of thing. Just let the DM know that we're fine with having Sorso playing stuff. It's not like we want to completely exclude him from the thing, but his character needs to change up this whole act that he is doing, this whole shtick that he's doing, so it doesn't become a detriment. At the end of the day, that's the biggest thing here going on. His character is a detriment because he doesn't want to change how his character is operating or anything like that, and just wants to make it more worse for the party members instead of working with them. It's what my character would do is a very lame excuse, because he could just come up with a new excuse of where his character is actually allowed to blabbermouth a little bit here and there, but can be very conscious and aware of what to not blabbermouth about. If the player just chooses not to play the character like an absolute obstacle to the rest of the party, that will clear up all the issues. Because I mean, otherwise he's just an obstacle the whole time, and nobody wants to play with an obstacle. People want to play with a player, not a traffic cone.
I like cones.
And with that, that's all the stories for today. Thank you guys so much for watching the stories. We hope you enjoyed, and we hope you had a blast.
If you like this content, make sure to like and subscribe. This has been Tales Tomorrow with Mary, who's very dead right now.
Whoa.
Leave a message after the beep.
She's not dead, she's tired. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching the video. Bye.
Bye.